Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I want to share a little bit more about this book, The Secrets of the Ages by Robert Collier. Let's begin with the chapter 3. The Primal Cause. This city, with all its houses, palaces, steam engines, cathedrals, and huge, immeasurable traffic and tumult, what is but a thought, but millions of thoughts made into one, a huge, immeasurable spirit of a thought, embodied in brick, in iron, smoke, dust, palaces, parliaments, coaches, docks, and the rest of it. Not a brick was made, but some men had to think of the making of that brick. Carlyle. The measure of your success in life can be forecast by just one factor: the extent to which you work directly with first causes rather than with conditions. What is a first cause? George Troward gave so clear an answer to this question in his Edinburgh lectures that we quote it here. If a lighted candle is brought into a room, the room becomes illuminated. If the candle is taken away, it becomes dark again. Now the illumination and the darkness are both conditions, the one positive resulting from the presence of the light, the other negative resulting from its absence. A condition, whether positive or negative, is never a primal cause, and the primal cause of any series can never be negative, for negation is the condition which arises from the absence of active causation. How can you know whether you are working with first cause or not? To quote Troward again, if we regard the fulfillment of our purpose as contingent upon any circumstance, past, present, or future, we are not making use of first cause. We have descended of the level of secondary causation, which is the region of doubts, fears, and limitations. When you are in need and creditors are hounding you on every side, what they may do is not the important thing. They are mere secondary causes, the result of conditions or circumstances. You must get back to the first cause, supply, and that first cause lies in your thought pattern, just as the first cause of a house lies in the thought pattern of the architect. What kind of thought patterns are you making? For thousands of years, the riddle of the universe has been this question of causation. Did the egg come first or the chicken? The globe says in Eastern proverb, rest upon the howdah of elephant. The elephant stands upon a tortoise swimming in a sea of milk. But then what? It has been said that every man is either a materialist or an idealist. The materialist, roughly speaking, declares that nothing exists but matter and the force inherent therein. The idealist declares that all is mind or energy, and that matter is necessarily unreal. The time has come when people have become dissatisfied with these unceasing theories which get them nowhere. And today, as the appreciation of a primal cause becomes more clearly defined, the spiritual instinct asserts itself determinedly. Give me a base of support, said Archimedes, and with a lever I will move the world. And the base of support is that all started with mind, with a mental image. In the beginning was nothing, a fire mist. Before anything could come of it, there had to be an idea, a model on which to build. Universal mind supply that idea, that model. Therefore, the primary cause is mind. Everything must start with an idea. Every event, every condition, everything first an idea in the mind of someone. Before you start to building a house, you draw up a plan of it. You make an exact blueprint of that plan, and your house takes shape in accordance with your blueprint. Every material object takes form in the same way. Mind draws the plan. Thought forms the blueprint. Well drawn to badly done as your thoughts are clear or vague. It all goes back to the one cause. The creative principle of the universe is mind, and thought is the eternal energy. But just as the effect you get from electricity depends upon the mechanisms to which the power is attached, so the effects you get from mind depend upon the way you use it. We are all of us dynamos. The power is there, unlimited power. But we must connect it with something. See it some task, give it to work to do. Else are we no better off than the animals. The 7 wonders of the world were built by men with few of the opportunities or facilities that are available to you. They conceived these gigantic projects first in their own minds, picture them so vividly, and work at them so earnestly that their superconscious minds came to their aid and showed them how to overcome obstacles that most of us would regard as insurmountable. Imagine building the pyramids of Giza, enormous stone upon enormous stone, with nothing but bare hands. Imagine the labor, the sweat, the heartbreaking toil of erecting the colossus of Rhodes, between whose legs a ship could pass. Yet men built these wonders in a day when tools were of the crudest and machinery was undreamed of, by using the unlimited power of mind. Mind is creative, but it must have a model on which to work. It must have thoughts to supply the power. There are in universal mind ideas for millions of wonders greater far than the 7 wonders of the world. And those ideas are just as available to you as they were to the artisans of old, as they were to Michelangelo when he built the St. Peter's in Rome, as they were to the architect who conceived the Empire State Building, or the engineer who planned the Golden Gate Bridge. Every condition, every experience of life is the result of our mental attitude. We can do only what we think we can do. We can be only what we think we can be. We can have only what we think we can have. What we do, what we are, what we have, all depend upon what we think. We can never express anything that we do not first have in mind. The secret of all power, all success, all riches is in first thinking powerful thoughts. Successful thoughts, thoughts of wealth, of supply. We must build them in our own mind first. William James, the famous psychologist, said that the greatest discovery in 100 years was the discovery of the power of the subconscious mind. It is the greatest discovery of all time. It is the discovery that man has within himself the power to control his surroundings, that he is not at the mercy of chance or luck, that he is the arbiter of his own fortunes, that he can carve out his own destiny. He is the master of all the forces around about him. As James Allen puts it, dream lofty dreams, and you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is a prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. Matter in the ultimate is but a product of thought. Even the most material scientists admit that matter is not what it speaks to be, no, it appears to be. According to physics, matter be in the human body or alone of good, it makes no difference, which made up of an aggregation of distant minute particles called atoms. Considered individually, these atoms are so small that they can be seen only with the aid of a powerful microscope. It would all matter, dream, or reality. Until comparatively recently, these atoms were supposed to be an ultimate theory regarding matter. We ourselves and all the material world around us were supposed to consist of these infinitesimal particles of matter, so small that they could not be seen, or weighed, or smelled, or touched individually, but still particles of matter and indestructible. Now, however, these atoms have been further analyzed, and physics tells us that they are not indestructible at all, that they are mere positive and negative bosons of force or energy called protons and electrons, without hardness, without density, without solidity, without even positive actuality. In short, they are vortices in the ether, whirling bits of energy, dynamic, never static, pulsating with life. But the life is spiritual. As one eminent British scientist put it, science now explains matter by explaining it away. And that, mind you, is what the solid table in front of you is made of, is what you house, your body. The whole world is made of whirling bits of energy. To quote the New York Herald Tribune, we used to believe that the universe was composed of an unknown number of different kinds of matter, one kind of each chemical element. The discovery of a new element had all the interest of the unexpected. It may have turned out to be anything to have any imaginable set of properties. The romantic prospect no longer exists. We know now that instead of many ultimate kinds of matter, there are only two kinds. Both of these are really kinds of electricity. One is negative electricity, being, in fact, the tiny particles called the electron, familiar to radio fans as one of the particles vast swarms of which operate radio vacuum tubes. The other kind of electricity is positive electricity. Its ultimate particles are called protons. From these protons and electrons, all of the chemical elements are built up. Iron and lead and oxygen and gold and all the others differ from one another merely in the number and arrangement of the electrons and protons which they contain. That's the modern idea of the nature of a matter. Matter is really nothing but electricity. Can you wonder then the scientists believe the time will come when mankind through mind can control all this energy, can be absolute master of the winds and the waves, can literally follow the master's precept? If you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. For modern science is coming more and more to the belief that what we call matter is a force subject wholly to the control of mind. How tenuous matter really is perhaps best illustrated by the fact that a single violin string tuned to the proper pitch may start a vibration that would shake down the Brooklyn Bridge. Oceans and mountains, rocks and iron, all can be reduced to a point little short of the purely spiritual. Your body is 85% water, 15% ash, phosphorus, and other elements, and they in turn can be dissipated into gas and vapor. Where do we go from there? Is not the answer that, to a great degree at least, and perhaps altogether, this world around round about us is one of our mind's own creating, and that we can put into it and get from it pretty much what we wish? You see this illustrated every day. A panorama is spread before you. To you, it is a beautiful picture. To another, it appears a mere collection of rocks and trees. A girl comes out to meet you. To you, she is the embodiment of loveliness. To another, all the grace and beauty may look drab and homely. A moonlit garden, which its fragrant odors and dew-drenched grass, may mean all that is charming to you, while to another it brings only thoughts of asthma or rose fever or rheumatism. A color may be green to you that to another is red. A prospect may be inviting for you that to another is rush and hard. The fact is that our limited human sense take in but a small fraction of the infinite life around us. Our ears, for instance, are attuned to only a few of the sound waves what are constantly beating upon our eardrums. Very short waves and very long ones are entirely imperceptible to us. Waves of sound that the radio and other mechanical devices catch perfectly make no impression on our unaided eardrums. The same with light. Light waves of very high or very low frequency cannot be detected by our unaided eyes. Yet they are there all the time, as you will find if you turn upon by any object. The black light of the ultraviolet ray, entirely different aspects show themselves, weird and unbelievable colors. They are, but our limited sense cannot detect them, any more than they can detect the pictures which are being wireless through the air by television. Some people, of course, can see more than others. Some might have a species of ultraviolet ray of their own, which accounts for so-called color blindness. It's not blindness at all. It is simply that the eyes happen to refract the light rays a bit differently from the average, so they get a different angle of color. The fact is that the physical senses are so limited that to accept their verdict without question is like believing you see the sun go down of an evening. You can see it go down. Yet every schoolboy knows that this is merely an optical illusion, that the sun is standing still, that it is the earth that is moving. Feeling, sensation, all are just an illusory. To quote applied psychology by Warren Hilton, the same stimulus acting on different organs of sense will produce different sensations. A blow upon the eye will cause you to see stars. A similar blow upon the ear will cause you to hear an explosive sound. In other words, the vibratory effect of a touch on eye or ear is the same as that of light or sound vibrations. The notion you may form of any object in the outer world depends solely upon what part of your brain happens to be connected with that particular nerve and receives an impression from the object. You see the sound without being able to hear it because the only nerve ends turn to vibrate in harmony with the ether wave set in action by the sun are nerve ends that are connected with the brain center devoted to sight. If, says Professor James, we could splice the outer extremities of our optic nerves to our ears, and those of our auditory nerves to our eyes, we should hear the lightning and see the thunder, see the symphony and hear the conductor's movements. In other words, the kind of impressions we receive from the world about us, the sort of mental pictures we form concerning it. In fact, the character of the outer world, the nature of the environment in which our lives are cast, all these things depend for each one of us simply upon how it happens to be put together, upon his individual mental makeup. It would seem to come back to the old fable of the three blind men and the elephant. To the one who caught hold of his leg, the elephant was like a tree. To the one who felt on his side, the elephant was like a wall. The one who seized his tail, the elephant was like a rope. The word is to each of us the word of his individual perceptions. You are like a radio receiving station. Every moment, thousands of impressions are reaching you. You can tune into whatever ones you like, on joy or sorrow, on success or failure, on optimism or fear. You can select the particular impressions that will best serve you. You can hear only what you want to hear. You can shut out all disagreeable thoughts and sounds and experiences, or you can tune into our encouragement and failure and despair. Yours is the choice. You have within you a force against which the whole world is powerless. By using it, you can make what you will of life and of your surroundings. But you will say objects themselves do not change. It merely the difference in the way you look at them, perhaps, but to a great extent, at least, we find what we look for, just as when we turn the dial on the radio. We tune into on whatever kind of entertainment or instruction we may wish to hear. And who can say that it is not our thoughts that put it there? Who, for the matter of that, can prove that our surroundings in waking hours are not as much as a creature of our minds as are our dreams? You have often heard how artists, in trying to renovate some cracked and old painting, have scrapped off the outer coating of paint and underneath discovered a masterpiece. The masterpiece had fallen into the hands of mediocre artists who, trying to improve the original or else failing to appreciate its perfection, painted over it a picture of his own. But once his amateurish daubing had been removed, the work of the great painter stood out in all its pristine glory. We are all of us daubers, painting our poor pictures over the finest masterpiece ever conceived. For what is life but a picture, a moving picture through my mind upon the screen of ether? God paints a perfect picture of our bodies, of our surroundings, a picture of beauty and love and harmony and plenty. But we fail to see it like the artists who cannot appreciate the grandeur of master's work. We paint our own cubist picture over it, concealing the perfect original, and then complain because of the very conditions we paint. You have seen pictures of men and zens which have been telegraphed from distant points. You know that they are made up a great number of dots. But do you know that's all your body is, all any material thing is? A great numbers of dots, tiny buttons or waves of force? There is nothing stable about them. They are constantly shifting, constantly changing, even the most solid objects. They are merely pictures cast upon the air by mind. True, we can feel them, sometimes taste and smell them as well as see them, but that merely indicates their relative properties and densities. It does not make the pictures any more real or permanent. Look at these same pictures under the invisible light of the ultraviolet ray, and you see something entirely different. In the first verse of the Genesis, we are told that God created the heavens and the earth. And in the last verse of that chapter, we are also told that God saw everything that He had made, and it was very good. How are we to reconcile this with the experience of everyday life? The poverty, the hardship, the evil we see all around. Didn't God create them? Or did He consider them good for us? Our answer is that he not only did not create them, but that they are not real. They are the pictures we ourselves have painted over his perfect masterpiece. God formed a perfect picture of earth and heaven and all that in them is. He made a perfect picture of you, with perfect surroundings, abundance in happiness, peace, and plenty. But almost from the very beginning, making has a thought that it knew better the kind of picture it wanted, and it has painted over his masterpiece its doubts and poverty and sickness and woe. How can we get back to the original? How can we uncover God's masterpiece of ourselves when the conditions and circumstances around us? You have seen these pseudo artists on the stage who paint a picture in half a minute by the simple expedient of rubbing from a picture already on the board the coating of wax or other stuff which conceal the picture from you. Well, that's all you have to do. The master painter has already made his perfect picture of you and your surroundings. All you have to do is to rub away your belief in what seems to be wrong conditions and let his perfect picture show. Throw away all the pictures you have which show poverty or sickness or unhappiness. Know that they are no part of his perfect picture. See in your mind's eye the perfect picture that should be there. Then claim it. Believe that you have it. And as your fate is, so it will be unto you. Just as the most powerful forces in nature are the invisible ones, heat, light, air, electricity, so the most powerful forces of men are his invisible forces, his thought forces. And just as electricity can fuse stone and iron, so can your thought forces control your body. So can they make or major or mar your destiny. The philosopher's charm. There was once a shrewd necromancer who told the king that he had discovered a way to make gold out of sand. Naturally, the king was interested and offered him a great reward for his secret. The necromancer explained his process. It seemed quite easy, except for one thing. Not once during the operation must the king think of the word abracadabra. If he did, the charm was broken and the gold would not come. The king tried to follow the directions, but he could not keep that word abracadabra out of his mind, and he never made the gold. Dr. Wimbigler puts the same idea in another way. Inspiration, genius, power are often interfered with by the conscious mind's interposing, by men's failing to recognize his power, afraid to assist himself, lacking the faith in himself necessary to stimulate the subconscious so as to arouse the genius that's sleeping each. From childhood on, we are assured on every hand by scientists, by philosophers, by our religious teachers, that ours is the earth and the fullness thereof. Beginning with the first chapter of Genesis, we are told that God said, "Let us make men in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every living thing that moved upon the earth." All through the Old and the New Testament, we are repeatedly adjured to use these God-given powers. "He that believed on me," said Jesus, "the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he said shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he said. The kingdom of God is within you." We hear all this, perhaps we even think we believe, but always When the time comes to use these God-given talents, there is the doubt in our heart. Van Down expressed it clearly. To be ambitious for wealth and yet always expected to be poor, to be always doubting your ability to get what you long for, is like trying to reach east by traveling west. There is no philosophy which will help a man to succeed when he is always doubting his ability to do so and thus attracting failure. You will go in the direction which you face. There is saying that every time the sheep bleats, it loses a mouthful of hay. Every time you allow yourself to complain of your lot, to say, I am poor, I can never do what others do, I shall never be rich, I have not the ability that others have, I am a failure, luck is against me, you are laying up so much trouble for yourself. No matter how hard you may work for success, if your thought is saturated with the fear of failure, it will kill your efforts, neutralize your endeavors, and make success impossible. And that's responsible for all our failures. We are like the old lady who decided she wanted the hill behind her house removed. So she got down on her knees and prayed the good Lord to remove it. The next morning she got up and hurried to the window. The hill was still in the same old place. I knew it, she snapped. I gave him his chance, but I knew all the time there was nothing to this prayer business. Neither is there, as it is ordinarily done. Prayer is not a mere asking of favors. Prayer is not a paying of price. Rather, prayer is a realization of the God power within you, of your right of dominion over your own body, your environment, your business, your health, your prosperity. It is an understanding that you are heir of God and co-heir with Christ, and that as such no evil has power over you, whereas you have all power for good. And good means not merely holiness. Good means happiness, the happiness of everyday people. Good means everything that's good in this world of ours, comforts and pleasure and prosperity. For ourselves, health and happiness for those dependent upon us. There are no limits to good except those we put upon it ourselves. What was it made Napoleon the greatest conqueror of his day? Primarily his magnificent faith in Napoleon. He had a sublime belief in his destiny, an absolute confidence that the obstacle was not made with Napoleon could not find a way through or over or around. It was only when he lost that confidence, when he hesitated and vacillated for weeks between retreat and advance, that winter caught him in Moscow and ended his dream of war empire. Fate gave him every chance first. The winter snows were a full month late in coming, but Napoleon hesitated and was lost. It was not the snows that defeated him. It was not the Russians. It was his loss of faith in himself. The kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Heaven is not some faraway state, the rewards of years of tribulation here. Heaven is right here, here and now. When Christ said that heaven was within us, he meant just what he said, that the power for happiness, for good, for everything we need of life is within each one of us. That most of us fail to realize his heaven, that many are sickly and suffering, that more are ground down by poverty and worry, is no fault of his. He gave us the power to overcome these evils. He stands ready and waiting to help us use it. If we fail to find the way, the fault is ours to enjoy the heaven that is within us. To begin here and now to live the life eternal takes only a fuller understanding of the power that it is within us. Even now, within the limited knowledge at our command, we can control circumstances to the point of making the world without an expression of our own world within, where the real thoughts, the real power resides. Through His word within you can find the solution of every problem, the cause for every effect. Discover it, and all power, all possession is within your control. For the world without is but reflection of the world within. Your thoughts creates the conditions you mind in image. Keep before your mind's eyes the image of all you want to be, and you will see it reflected in the world without. Think abundance, feel abundance, believe abundance, and you will find that as you think and feel and believe, abundance will manifest itself in your daily life. But let fear and worry be your mental companions. Thoughts of poverty and limitation dwell in your mind, and worry and fear, limitation and poverty will be your constant companions day and night. Your mental concept is what counts. Its relation to matter is that of idea and form. There must be an idea before it can take form. As Dr. Terry Walter says, the impressions that enter the subconscious form indelible pictures which are never forgotten, and whose power can change the body, mind, manner, and morals, can in fact revolutionize a personality. All during our waking hours, the conscious mind, through the five senses, acts as constant feeder to the subconscious. The senses are the temporal source of supply for the content of the soul mind. Therefore, it's most important that we know and realize definitely and explicitly that every time we think a thought or feel an emotion, we are adding to the content of this powerful mind, good or bad, as the case may be. Life will be richer or poorer for the thoughts and deeds of today. Your thoughts supply you with limited energy which will take whatever form your mind demands. The thoughts are the mold which crystallize this energy into good or ill according to the form you impress upon it. You are free to choose which, but whichever you choose, the result is sure. Thoughts of wealth, of power, of success can bring only results commensurate with your idea of them. Thoughts of poverty and lack can bring only limitations and trouble. As one successful writer tersely warned, if you don't want it, don't think it. A radical doctrine, you may say, and think me wildly optimistic, because the world has been thought for so long to think that some must be rich and some poor, that trial and tribulation are our lot, that this is at best a vale of tears. In the age to come, men will look back upon the poverty and wretchedness of so many millions today, and think how foolish we were not to take advantage of the abundance all about us. Look at nature, how profuse she is in everything. Do you suppose the mind that imagines such a profuseness ever intend you to be limited, to have to scrimp and save in order to eke out a very existence? There are hundreds of millions of stars in the heavens. Do you suppose the mind which could bring into vain words without number in such a prodigality intended to sting you of the few things necessary to your happiness? What's money but a mere idea of mine, a token of exchange? The paper money you have in your pocket is supposed to represent so much gold or silver currency. There are billions upon billions of this paper money in circulation, yet all the gold in the world amounts to only a few billions. Wealth is an idea, nothing money or property. You can control those ideas through mind. Reduced to the ultimate, to the atom or to the electron, everything in this world is an idea of mind. All of it has been brought together through mind. If we can change the things we want back into mental images, we can multiply them as often as we like, possess all that we like. To him that hath, take as example of science of numbers. Suppose all numbers were of metal, that it was against the law of right to figures ourselves. Every time you wanted to do assuming arithmetic, you'd have to provide yourself with a supply of numbers. Arrange them in their proper order. Work out your problems with them. If your problems were too abstruse, you might run out of numbers, have to borrow some from your neighbor or from the bank. How ridiculous, you say. Figures are not things, they are mere ideas, and we can add them or divide them or multiply them or subtract them as often as we like. Anybody can have all the figures he wants. To be sure he can, and when you get to look upon money in the same way, you will have all the money you want. To him that had small be given, and from him that had not small be taken away even that which he had. To him that had the right idea everything shall be given, and from him who had not right idea shall be taken away every that which he had. Though externalize itself, what we are depends entirely upon the image we hold before our mind's eye. Every time we think, we start a chain of cause which will create conditions similar to the thoughts which originated it. Every thought we hold in our consciousness for any length of time becomes impressed upon our subconscious mind and creates a pattern which the mind weaves into our life or environment. All power is from within and is therefore under our own control. When you can direct your thoughts processes, you can consciously apply them to any conditions. For all that comes to us from the world without is what we have already imaged in the world within. Do you want more money? Money, you must remember, is merely a medium of exchange. It is the equivalent of so many hours of labor, so much skill, so many ideas. Your mind is possessed of unlimited ideas. Any idea of service to your fellow men can be turned into money. Since your mind is part of universal mind, there is no such thing as limitation or lack. Somewhere, somehow, the ideas that shall bring you all the money you need for any right purpose are available for you. You have but to put it up to your higher self to find these ideas. Have utter faith in its willingness and its ability to do it then. And then, when the ideas come, act upon them. What things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you receive it and you shall have it. Don't forget that believe that you receive it. This is that image, the things you want on your subconscious mind, and through it upon the superconscious. This is that brings it to you. When you can image the belief clearly on your subconscious mind, whatsoever it is that you ask, you shall have it. For the source of all good, of everything you wish for, is the universal mind, and you can reach it only through the subconscious and your higher self, you part of the God mind. Universal mind will be you to you whatever you believe it to be. The kind and loving Father whom Jesus pictured, always looking out for the well-being of his children, or the dread judge that so many dogmatics would have us think. When a man realizes that his mind is part of universal mind, when he realizes that he has only to take any right aspiration to this universal mind to see it realized, he loses all sense of worry and fear. He learns to dominate instead of to cringe. He rises to meet every situation secure in the knowledge that everything necessary to the solution of any problem is in mind, and that he has but take his problem to universal mind to have it correctly answered. Take a drop of water from the ocean, and you know that has the same properties as all the rest of the water in the ocean. The same percentage of sodium chloride. The only difference between it and the ocean is in volume. Take a spark of electricity, and you know that it has the same properties as the thunderbolt. The same power that moves trains or ruins giant machines and factories. Again, the only difference is in volume. It's the same with your mind and the universal mind. The only difference between them is in volume. Your mind has the same properties as the universal mind, the same creative genius, the same power over all the earth, the same access to all knowledge. Know this, believe it, use it, and yours is the earth and the fullness thereof, in the extra proportion that you believe yourselves to be part of universal mind, sharing in its all power. In that proportion can you demonstrate the mastery over your own body and over the world about you. All growth, all supply is from the world within. If you would have power, if you would have wealth, you have but to image it on this world within, on your subconscious mind, through belief and understanding. If you would remove discord, you have but to remove the wrong image of ill health, worry, and trouble from within. The trouble with most of us is that we live entirely in the world without. We have no knowledge of that inner world which is responsible for all the conditions we met in and all the experiences we have. We have no conception of the Father that is within us. The inner world promises us life and health, prosperity and happiness, dominion over all the earth. It promises peace and perfection for all offspring. It gives you the right way and the adequate way to accomplish any moral purpose. Business, labor, professions exist primarily in thought, and the outcome of your labors in them is regulated by thought. Consider the difference, then, in this outcome if you have at your command only the limited capacity of your conscious mind, compared with the boundless energy of the subconscious and the universal mind. Thought, not money, is the real business capital, said Harvard S. Firestone. And if you know absolutely that what you are doing is right, then you are bound to accomplish it in due season. Thought is a dynamic energy with the power to bring its object out from the invisible substance all about us. Matter is insert and intelligent. Thought can shape and control. Every form in which matter is today is but the expression of some thought, some desire, some idea. You have a mind. You can originate thought, and thoughts are creative. Therefore, you can create for yourself that which you desire. Once you realize this, you are taking a long step towards success in whatever undertaking you have in mind. More than half the prophecies in the scriptures refer to the time when men shall possess the earth, when tears and sorrows shall be unknown, and peace and plenty shall be everywhere. That time will come. It's nearest that most people think possible. You are helping it along. Every man who is honestly trying to use the power of mind in the right way is doing his part in the great cause. For it is only through mind that peace and plenty can be gained. The earth is laden with treasures as yet undiscovered, but they are very one of them known to universal mind. For it was universal mind that first imaged them there, and as part of universal mind they can be known to you. How else did the prophets of old foretell thousands of years ago the airplane, the cannon, the radio? What was the genius that enabled Ezekiel to argue from his potter well his water wheel and the stroke of the lightning into an airplane, with its wheels within wheels, driving by electricity and guided by men? How are we to explain the description of artillery in the Apocalypse and the astonishing declaration in the Gospels that the utterance of the chamber would be broadcast from the housetops? To the manner born, few of us have any idea of our mental powers. The whole idea was that man must take this world as he found it. He had been born into a certain position in life, and to try to rise above his fellow was not only the height of bad taste, but sacrilegious as well. An all-wise providence had decreed by birth's position a child should occupy in the web of organized society. For him to be discontent with his lot, for him to attempt to raise himself to a higher level, was tantamount of tempting providence. The gates of hell yawned wired for such as Satyr brains, who were lucky if in this life they incurred nothing worse than the rival scorn of their associates. That's a system that produced aristocracy and feudalism. That's a system that the feudalism and aristocracy strove to perpetuate. The new idea, the basis of all democracies, is that man is not bound by any system, that he need not accept the world as he finds it. He can remake the world to his own ideas. It's merely the raw material. He can make what he wills of it. It is this new idea that is responsible for all our inventions, all our progress. Man is satisfied with nothing. He is constantly remaking his world, and now more than ever will this be true. For psychology teaches us that each one has within himself the power to become what he wills. Learn to control your thoughts. Learn to image upon your mind only the things you want to see reflected there. You will never improve yourself by dwelling upon the drawbacks of your neighbors. You will never attain perfect health and strength by thinking of weakness or disease. No man ever made a perfect score by watching his rivals target. You have to think strength, think health, think riches. To paraphrase Pascal, our achievements today are but the sum of our thoughts of yesterday. For thought is energy, mental images are concentrated energy. And energy concentrated on any definite purpose becomes power. To those who perceive the nature and transcendence of this force, all physical power sinks into insignificance. What's imagination but a form of thought? Yet it is the instrument by which all the inventors and discoverers have opened the way to new worlds. Those who grasp this force by their state ever so humble, their natural gifts ever so insignificant, become our leading men. They are our governors and supreme lawgivers, the guides of drifting hosts which follows them as by an irrevocable decree. To quote Glenn Clark in the Atlantic Monthly, whatever we have of civilization is their work, theirs alone. If progress was made, they made it. If spiritual facts were discerned, they discerned them. If justice and order were put in place of insolence and chaos, they wrought the change. Never is progress achieved by the masses. Creation ever remains the task of the individual. Our railroads, our telephones, our automobiles, our libraries, our newspapers, our thousands of other convenience, comforts, and necessities are due to the creative genius of but 2% of our population. And the same 2% own a great percentage of the wealth of the country. The questions arise: who are they? What they are? What are they? The sons of the rich? No, few of them had any earned advantage. Many of them have never seen the inside of a college. It was grim necessity that drove them, and somehow, some way, they found a method of drawing upon the genie of the mind, and through that inner force they have reached success. You don't need to stumble and grope. You can call upon your inner forces at will. There are 3 steps necessary. First, to realize that you have the power. Second, to know what you want. Third, to center your thought upon it with singleness of purpose. To accomplish these steps takes only a fuller understanding of the power that is within you. But what's this power? Where should you go to locate it? It is a thing, a place, an object. Has it bounds, form, or material shape? No. Then how shall you go about finding it? If you have begun to realize that there is a power within you, if you have begun to arouse in your subconscious mind the ambition and desire to use this power, you have started in the pathway of wisdom. If you are willing to go forward, to endure the mental discipline of mastering this method, Nothing in the world can hinder you or keep you from overcoming every obstacle. Begin at once today to use what you have learned. All growth comes from practice. All the forces of life are active peace, joy, power. The unused talent decays. Open the door. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. So let us make use of this dynamo, which is you. What's going to start it working? Your faith, the faith that is begetting of understanding. Faith is impulsion, the propulsion of this power within. Faith is the confidence, the assurance, the enforcing truth, the knowing that the right idea of life will bring you into the reality of existence and the manifestation of all power. All cause is in mind, and mind is everywhere. All the knowledge there is, all the wisdom there is, all the power there is all about you, no matter where you may be. Your mind is part of it. You have access to it. If you fail to avail yourself of it, you have no one to blame but yourself. For as the drop of water in the ocean shares in all the properties of the rest of the ocean water, so you share in that all power, all wisdom of mind. If you have been sick and ailing, if poverty and hardship have been your lot, don't blame it on fate. Blame yourself. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it, but you must take it. The power is there, but you must use it. It is round about you like the air you breathe. You don't expect others to do your breathing for you. Neither can you expect them to use your mind for you. Universal intelligence is not only the mind of the creator of the universe, but it is also the mind of man, your intelligence, your mind. Let this mind be in you which was also in Christ Jesus. To start today to knowing that you can do nothing you wish to do, have anything you wish to have, be anything you wish to be. The rest will follow. You shall ask what you will, it shall be done unto you. Well, this is awesome. The chapter is wonderful. That's it for today. I will keep sharing this wonderful book. Next will be the chapter 4, Desire, the first law of gain. Have a blessed day, have a nice afternoon and evening. And remember, let's make a difference with the power that we have within in various things. Bye bye.